Faster C, my name is Ryan, and in today's video we're going to review the Traxxas Stampede 2-wheel drive ATV edition. So stick around, I'll see you on the other side of the intro. So this video we're going to do a quick review of my own custom build. And I thought it'd be fun because I actually have quite a few custom builds that I'll flash up here on the screen. Some of them you've seen, some of them you haven't. But thought it'd be fun that we would break these down into 4 different categories and go ahead and score them 1 through 5 on each. And those categories being power, handling, durability, and style. And it'd just be interesting to take an honest look at each one of these builds and see what we really think. So of course, whatever you think, go ahead and put that down in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get to the first section. Alright, so let's do a quick rundown of this truck. So this is a Traxxas Stampede 2-wheel drive equipped with a Castle Creation Sidewinder 3 ESC motor combo. That motor is mated up to a Proline Transmission with Proline drive shafts to help improve durability. And as far as the rest of the truck with suspensions, got stock Traxxas shocks, Proline ProTrack system, which helps widen out the wheel track. And then speaking of wheels, let's go ahead and talk about that. Those are the Proline Badland MXs, 2.8-inch monster truck tires. So now with that out the way, let's go ahead and talk about power and speed. So first section here is power. And so we talked about in the quick rundown, this system used on this truck is a Castle Creation Sidewinder 3, 3800 kV, made it up to a Proline transmission with Proline drive shafts, so it's got plenty of juice. Is really actually way more juice than this truck can really handle, for being honest. At 3800 kV, this thing absolutely rips, and especially with the Proline Badland MX tires, this thing can flat out get it, especially on loose soil and pretty much anywhere this thing hooks up. As long as you can keep this thing on its 4 wheels, it's going to have tons of power. Could pretty much wheelie on demand if you want it. If you pull that throttle back far enough, that front end is going to pop up no problem. Didn't do a whole lot of that on my last run since I don't have a wheelie bar on it at the moment. But it had absolutely no problem pulling that front end up, even with the ATV guy on it. There's even one time where I had the ATV guy, he was like in a standing position, and it still wheelied with him standing up. So tons of power. As far as rating, so like I said, we're going 1 out of 5, 1 through 5. I am going to give this a 4 rating for power. That Castle Creation system is fantastic. It's one of my favorite motor systems. It's honestly, the brand Castle is a brand that I use quite a bit on a lot of my own personal builds. And Sidewinder 3, albeit a little bit older now, I've had it for over 8 years. No problems, absolutely reliable. And when it comes to power, just tons of power. Way more than this system even needs. Alright, so that's it for power. Let's go ahead and get to the next section. And next up is handling. And handling, this is going to be a really fun section because let's just be honest, when you stick this ATV body on top of a high center of gravity Stampede, two-wheel drive especially, but high center of gravity, ATV body, and you put this driver on top of it, it is going to handle terrible in most situations. And to be honest, when I took it out, that's absolutely what happened. It was pretty terrible in most situations. Just to sum it up for you, on asphalt and concrete, it is absolutely abysmal. You have to really feather the throttle a lot and really keep your, I want to say keep your foot out of it, but really keep your finger out of it. It cannot handle that much power on high grip surfaces because of the nature of the body and the high center of gravity, along with the power and the grippiness of the tires. Just is not a good combo. So asphalt, street, not good at all. But where it does handle good is on loose soil and dirt. It is absolutely fantastic and is really a blast to drive. I had tons of fun taking this thing out to the lake. So thumbs up on loose soil and dirt. That's really where this thing was intended to drive. I mean, an ATV guy is not really supposed to be on the street. One surprising thing in this section I want to note is, for as high center of gravity as this thing is and the way the driver kind of moves around, this truck actually surprisingly jumps well. And of course, like a Stampede 2-wheel drive just in general jumps well. But I thought with the driver on top it might have a really hard time jumping, but surprisingly not. Like, I was able to stick a lot of the landings. I'd say more than 50%. It was pretty decent. So thumbs up on that one. So let's go ahead and get to the scoring. I would say for handling, we're just going to be completely honest, this is going to get a 2 out of 5. It is bad. It is really bad at handling, and I tried to do some things and tweak some things to make it a little bit better while out in the field, and there wasn't much I could do other than adding some spring spacers in the shocks to try to stiffen up the springs a little bit. But let's just be honest, it's just going to handle bad. When you put a big driver on there with a lot of weight, there's nothing you can do. So that's it for handling. Let's go ahead and get to the next section. Here we are to durability, and this one is going to be very like brand specific. So the type of custom build you make, whether it's Traxxas or Associated, Losi, Arma, going to be brand specific. So this one being Traxxas, fairly reliable. I didn't have any major catastrophic blowouts while at the lake. Only thing that I ended up breaking was a shock shaft, of course, being a standard Traxxas shock. With all the jumping I did, I ended up bending a shock shaft, so not surprising there. Definitely due for some shock upgrades, whether I put nitride shafts in it or if I go with like a completely different shock, I'm not sure. But it needs a shock upgrade. And to be honest, the more I drove this thing around and a lot of the jumping that I did, started to realize that with the weight of the body and the driver on top of the truck, I think that adds some extra stress to those rear shocks. So it definitely could use a shock upgrade. But really, other than that, as far as durability, the only other thing I had happen to me was one of the drive shafts popped out of the drive cup. That was from the back suspension arm just drooping too low and popping out. That's actually happened to me 3 times now that I think about it. So that's a little bit of a durability issue. I ended up fixing that by changing the position of the shocks on the rear A-arms. So that pretty much went away. But yeah, for the rest of the truck, absolutely nothing happened. Motor, ESC, perfectly fine. The chassis fine. Didn't break any A-arms. Only suspension issue were the shocks. That was it. I would anticipate the steering bell crank or the servo bell crank eventually stripping out, since it is the stock version, which is really crappy. But once that breaks, then I'll change it. Otherwise, let's go ahead and score for durability. I am going to give this a 3 out of 5 for durability, only because I bent that stupid shock shaft. I knew it was going to happen. I still didn't upgrade the shocks, and sure enough, it did happen. And then the drive shafts popping out was kind of an annoyance, although I do think I fixed it. So 3 out of 5, I think that's a fair score. Can it get better? Absolutely. If I put no shocks, it'll probably be like a 4 out of 5 maybe, or maybe 5 out of 5, I don't know. So all right, let's get to the next section. We're going to save the best section for last, and that's the style and uniqueness of this build. This is going to be my favorite section to talk about because, let's just face it, like, it is so cool looking at one of these ATV cars and just taking it out and driving it. You just don't see very many of these things very often.
Holy shit.
And it's just totally fun to go out and drive this thing. So one thing I want to tell you guys is, did you know that this truck actually has a difficulty setting on it? And you might be asking yourself, like, what the hell is a difficulty setting? Like, how do you get that? Well, because I didn't Velcro this driver's ass to the seat, this driver moves when you move the truck around and it jumps and stuff. The driver will actually like stand up, or he'll sit down, or he'll even like lay down or lay back and lower the center of gravity. And so when the driver moves like that, it actually does change the difficulty of handling this truck. So when that driver stands up, it's like hard mode, because the center of gravity goes up like another couple inches, and it really puts more of the weight like forward bias, and definitely like makes it harder to handle, although still fun. And then standard mode or normal is going to be when the driver's just sitting down in normal position, and then easy mode is when that driver's laid back like you see on the screen. Lowers that center of gravity, instantly handles better, and jumps a lot better. So I just thought it was funny. I had actually more fun with the driver moving around, standing up and laying down, than I did the previous time when I had his ass Velcro to the seat. So just a lot more fun. Actually has a difficulty setting. I think that's a unique feature. Very unique. And because it's so unique, I am actually going to give this a 5 out of 5 for style and uniqueness. You just don't see these things around. They're so rare. So much so, I had so much fun with this thing that I think I'm going to have to build a second one. I have the other driver. I got him. I got to use it. So let me know what you think. What do you guys think about this build? Let's go ahead and get to the final thoughts. On to the final thoughts. So we're going to keep this short and sweet. What did we get for the final score? So for power and speed, we got a rating of 4. And for handling, we got a rating of 2. And that was being generous, for being honest. And for durability, we got a 3. And for styling and uniqueness, we got an absolute 5. There was no other way I was going to go outside of a 5. Probably would have gave it a 6 even, but we'll go 5. So with that, that gives us a final tally of 14 out of 20. That is like a C student, so less than 75%. It's okay. It's my own custom build. I'm okay with giving it a C minus. That's fine. 14 out of 20, no big deal. But final thoughts, I love this build. If I had rated like cool factor or fun of driving, which I probably should have rated, this thing would get a 10 out of 10. It's a blast. You take it to the right spot, go to loose dirt, get some jumps. I would stay away from the street and asphalt concrete. That's not going to be fun. But in the right setting, 10 out of 10, fun. Would I recommend building it? I would. I'll give you a thumbs up. Yes, I would recommend building this if you are into these type of builds, having the drivers on top. They're a lot of fun and they're very unique. When I went to the lake, I actually had like a lot of people stop and look at the truck and just see this little dude driving around. So it's just very unique. It's a lot of fun and it looks really cool on my shelf too. So highly recommend it. Give 2 thumbs up. Yes, you should build it. And that's all I got, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you got a lot out of it. Hope you learned some stuff. Hope you laughed. Hope you cried. Well, hope you didn't cry, but you get the point. If you could, like, subscribe. I really, really appreciate it. And stick around. I got more review builds coming up. So that's it. See you guys on the next one. I feel the power surging, ready to take.